Coach, there's a sense of optimism surrounding training camp. There always is. I mean, at the start of the year, a guy's come back bigger and stronger. His game has come back a little bit better. It's okay. Founded or unfounded, this sense of optimism?
Well, 29 other teams right now, Jonesy, are optimistic about the season, and we are too. Brian and his guys have gone out this year and got us what we needed. We needed shooting. We got that. The bonus that we got with the shooters are the guys that can shoot and play defense, which is a rarity. Usually offensive players can't turn around and play on the defensive end. But we got some good defensive players, solid defensive players that will fit into our system. And the shooting gives me optimism, because that's one thing. Once Andrea went down last year, and Clay's coming back from microfracture surgery, really we had one big-time three-point shooter, and that was Jose. So that's going to be huge for us, is adding those three-point shooters. It's going to allow us to have more of a running game, to put the three ball into what we're doing offensively. So that gives me optimism as a coach. What I'm still nervous about is, getting our defensive system back to where it was last year, along with that offensive approach that we want to take.
The Jose thing, you mentioned Jose. There's been a lot of chatter about, will he be here? Does he want to be traded? Will he be moved? And you said something that caught my ear, that Jose is a champion. Mm-hmm. He's part of championship teams with the Spanish national team. And, I mean, every guy that's been brought in here to challenge him for a spot, he ends up holding his own. Reflect back on everything that's happened and where you see Jose fitting in right now.
Well, first of all, Jose's a pro. I mean, I have the utmost respect for Jose. He still, to me, is going to be one of our leaders, whether he starts or comes off the bench. And again, he's done so much for basketball, for his country, for the world basketball, that I owe him the fact that, hey, making a quick decision of who's going to start, who's not going to start. Jose said, hey, Coach, I'm going to be, in for the team, whatever position you put me in, whatever role that I have. And again, who starts and who doesn't start, Jonesy, is still that person still going to get his minutes, big minutes. And also for us as a coaching staff, it's going to be to the point where who finishes the game is going to be the most important as far as going forward. But Jose is not lost his status with the team, contrary to what you read and what you hear. But whatever team in this league, you've got to have multiple guys at that position that are, hopefully starters. Jose is a starter in this league. Kyle Lowry is a starter in this league. And you could make a case for John Lucas being a starter in this league. So we've got a solid point guard rotation any way we look at it, and we can also combine them. Play probably Jose at the 2 some, or Kyle at the 2. Kyle guarded 2s when he was at Houston. So we've got a much better mixture than we had last year, offensively and defensively at the point guard position.
What's realistic for your young guys? When I look at Terrence Ross, Valanciunas, Quincy Acy, Bill Fitch used to say the best thing about rookies is they become second-year players. I mean, it's hard for these guys to break in because it's a different game. The people are more physical. The game is faster. What's realistic to expect from those kids?
Well, one with Valanciunas, I think, is the number. Let's talk about him a little bit. What we expect from him is energy, running the floor, rolling to the basket. I'm not looking for 20-plus points from him. I'm not looking for 20 points per game from Terrence Ross. Come in, make open shots, attack the basket, and most of all, run the floor. So there's a common theme, run the floor. If those guys can use their youth and enthusiasm and their youthful legs to run the floor, to get easy buckets for us, that's going to be huge. In half-court play, Terrence Ross is a shooter. If he can knock down open shots when the draw and kick game comes about, that's what we expect them. But to expect any of our guys to come in and become 15 to 20 point scorers, I'm not doing that. So I'm asking them to make sure they do something they can control, which is run the floor, be energetic. They can control that. Both guys are going to be raw when it comes to scoring in the NBA game. Valanciunas with his back to the basket right now is going to be raw. And then from a pure physical standpoint, Terrence is going to be raw as far as going against the Dwane Wades, going against the strong Darren Williamses and the strong two guards in our league. So he's going to have to get stronger for us. But both young men are very talented, great basketball skills, and it's just going to have to, let them grow and get better and develop as NBA players.
The whole building thing that you talked about last year, and I don't know, maybe you can reflect back on it now. It seemed like there was a lot of excitement and Toronto was that close to getting Steve Nash. When you step back and look at it now, it's done, everybody's moved on. Would that have meant anything? How much would it have meant? And where do you go now that it's put to bed?
Well, our organization did a heck of a job of recruiting Steve, putting together videos and a package for our organization and also for the city of Toronto that made me proud to be a part of, because when you look at that package and the video and the presentation, it was big time. And so, but it would have been great to have Steve. I've known Steve since he's a young kid up in Victoria, BC. Victoria and in the western part of the country and near Seattle. So, it'd have been great to have him, Canadian, going to be a Hall of Fame point guard. But for us in the future, Kyle Lowry is better for the program long term because of his youth, his age. Steve, if we'd gotten him, it'd probably been a 1, maybe 2 year deal. Then Father Time would have taken over, which is normal evolution. But for our program where we are now, Brian hit a home run as far as getting Kyle Lowry, getting Landry Fields, 2 solid young pieces for the future for our franchise, and that's going to make sure that they're going to both be cornerstones for what we do going forward.
Kyle's a really competitive guy, and he sat there. We said to him, before I could even finish the question, and I think you have the right personality to coach him. He's very competitive. And there will be times in drills, and he said, oh yeah, Coach and I are going to have our disagreements at times. And that, in a way, that's good.
Right.
How do you see that helping the team with a guy that's that competitive?
Well, the difference is he can back it up. And usually when guys are saying things and or want to do something a little off the norm of what we're trying to do and can't back it up as far as completing the play, he can do it. Saying there's a million different ways of skinning a cat. My thing is get the cat skinned. Skin the cat, So I don't have a problem with that, just because Cal is a leader. He's a alpha dog personality, and the key is he can back up what he talks about and what he says he's going to do. And there's going to be some different approaches defensively, whether it's switching, going under, and all those things will work themselves out. But the number one thing he brings to the table is that swagger, that confidence that will be contagious to the rest of the team. And that's what I love about Cal, is that he will bring that to the table. And with him, he's going to have a little bit more freedom offensively. He knows the offense we're going to run. We ran it in Dallas. They ran it in Houston. So he knows the ins and outs. So he'll have a little bit more freedom once he's in the game to do some things on the offensive end. And like I said, I give guys offense. They earn that right offensively by giving it to us on the defensive end.
How much, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but weighty expectations are there this year with what happened last year? I mean, Brian joked that he should have put some offensive incentives in your contract. The defensive stuff looks like it came along. You said you were further ahead than you thought you'd be. You've talked about keeping that with the offense hopefully coming around and the fan base kind of playoff starved. What is there pressure there? How much pressure is there?
I love it because I had that. I felt the pressure last year and wanted to win when we really didn't have the pieces to be a playoff team last year, if you look at it realistically. Yeah. And so, but I enjoy it because it gives us a chance to win. there's no pressure because I'm going to coach the same way I coached last year, this year. I'm glad we're in the position that there is optimism, there are expectations, because the worst place you want to be in sports is where people are discounting you or not having expectations. So from a pressure standpoint, Jonesy, it's going to be me doing the same thing I've done for 18 years, coach my butt off, try to put guys in the right place to be successful, and then after that we let the chips fall where they may. But again, I like the fact that we have good pieces around, that we brought the right pieces in. Shooting was what we needed, and that gives us, and we maintain the defensive approach, that gives us a chance to win. Jones, one thing I did this summer, I went to the Seahawks training camp for a couple of days, and my next door neighbor is John Ryan, who's a Canadian punter. And so he, we talk about the Raptors. He's really into the Raptors, and so he said, "Hey, why don't you come and watch practice?" Because they go from 7 in the morning to 10 at night in training camp. I mean, they're organized. I talk with Coach Carroll. One thing they have to be, if you have that number of men in practice, the attention to detail is unbelievable. The organization is unbelievable. Every minute is accounted for. And throughout the whole practice, they have music blaring. So you're trying to communicate with a player, giving him instructions and yelling from the sideline. And this music is blaring from these huge speakers on the sideline. It's kind of a chaotic type moment, but yet and still there's a method to the madness because of the fact that that's the way it is in a football game. The crowd is going crazy. You're trying to communicate. There's fast movement. There's quick substitutions. So there's a lot going on. So that's what he's trying to create with his training camp, with his practices, and they pull it off without a hitch. And I was really impressed with their organization, and that's what I kind of tried to get away from, that is try to steal how they do it, how they organize practice, and the reasoning why they have the blaring music. And that's something we may try, is music during stretching, trying to get our guys going. Because if you think about it, our young generation today, all they do is listen to music. Yeah. They walk around the house with their headphones on, and so as soon as they leave the court, they have music on. So why not have that where they can get that focus and get that thought process on the court? So we may try it with stretching. I'm not to the point yet of having it for the whole practice. I'm a little bit too old school for that, but we'll see how the stretching part goes. Well, one thing I enjoy doing is, being in coaching for so long, being single, one thing I enjoy doing now is being with my family. Wife and 2 kids, I really enjoy being with them. So I really consider that as my hobby. The quiet time, just being, family time with them is huge. I love working out. I'm probably a workout fiend as far as getting my pre-core in. I used to play a lot of racquetball. And I enjoy music. I enjoy listening to music, and I enjoy going to movies. I love going to movies, and most of all, probably my biggest weakness is popcorn. I mean, I could eat popcorn 3 meals a day, but family time is probably the most precious time for me away from basketball, and I do consider that a hobby. Not a hobby, but my life after basketball is over with.